Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBD founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribhajakacharya Stotra Sakta Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming to class this morning. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, The Creation, Chapter 14, The Disappearance of Lord Krishna.
Yeah.
Today we'll be doing text 13 through 21. So a lot of verses, none of them have purports, and we'll do 13 to get the first of that series we'll do together. Text 13. Shasta Kurvanti Mam Savyam Dakshinam Pashavo Pare Vahamscha Purusha Vyagra Lakshaye Rudato Mama. Shasta Kurvanti Mam Savyam Dakshinam Pashavo Pare Vahamscha Purusha Vyagra Lakshaye Rudato Mama. Shasta Kurvanti Mam Sarvam Dakshinam Pashavo Pare Vahamscha Purusha Vyagra Lakshaye Rudato Mama. Everyone chant, please.
Shasta Kurvanti Mam Swabhyam Dakshina Pasavo Pare Vaham Sacha Purusha Vyagra Lakshaya Rudato Mama. Hare Krishna.
Shasta kurvanti mam savyam dakshinam pashavo pare vaham shapurusha vyagra lakshaye rudato mama.
Shasta kurvanti mam savyam dakshinam pashavo pare vahamscha purusha vyagra lakshaye rudato mama.
Hare Krishna. Good, Matan.
No, you can go.
Shastaha kurvanti mam savyam dakshinam pashavo pare vahanscha purusha vyagra lakshaye rudato mama. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shastaha kurvanti mam savyam dakshinam pashavo pare Vam Shapadiush Vyagra Lakshya Rudato Mama.
Sastaha kurvanti mam savyam dakshinam pasavo pare वाहांश्च पुरुषव्याघ्र लक्षये रुदतो मम.
Okay, word for word translation. Shasta, useful animals like the cow. Kurvanti, are keeping. Mam, me. Savyam, on the left. Dakshinam, circumambulating. Pashava, apare, other lower animals like asses. Vahan, the horses or carriers. Cha, also. Purusha Vyagra, O tiger among men. Lakshaye, I see. Rudata, weeping. Mama, of mine. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. O Bhimasena, tiger amongst men. Now useful animals like cows are passing me on my left side, and lower animals like the asses are circumambulating me. My horses appear to weep upon seeing me. Shasta kurvanti mam savyam dakshinam pashavo pare vahamscha purusha vyagra lakshaye rudato mama. So because we're covering so many verses today, I'm not going to read through all 9 right now. We'll discuss a little bit on each one and then move on to the next and hopefully work our way through all of them. And maybe try to, at the end of the class, maybe try to pull together some sort of overarching ideas that we can gain from this description. This, of course, is the continuing description of these awful and very frightening omens going on. I've never seen omens like this occur, but if I saw things like this happening, I would be pretty afraid. So these awful things. Remember also, previous to today's verse, the ill omens began with that people are becoming people, all the people in society are becoming corrupted in different ways, lying and cheating on an individual level. And then he goes on that in social interactions, they're also becoming corrupted. People are becoming corrupted. And now we're getting into some more of the omens. We heard yesterday about the jackal vomiting fire at the sun, whatever that means, very frightening image. And today, this first verse, we're hearing about, just after hearing about previously disturbances in human society, now we're hearing about disturbances in animal society as well. The poetry of it is also very nice, the sort of poetic imagery that Yudhishthira is addressing his brother Bhim as Purusha Vyagra. And I think this is the second time he's doing that. A couple of verses earlier, he called him Nara Vyagra, which means the same thing. Man, tiger-like man, just like Nara Singha means man lion. So Nara Vyagra or Purusha Vyagra means a man who's like a tiger. So Bhim's ferocity and his strength is like that of a tiger. But Yudhishthira is also saying, so the animal kingdom is also disturbed. You, Bhim, and he's saying to you, Bhim, who are like a tiger, you're like a tiger compared to an animal, but this animal society is being disturbed also, which I thought was a nice sort of poetic metaphor to use there. So he's saying useful animals, shasta, that means pious or auspicious animals. Amongst the animal kingdom, the most auspicious is the cow. And Prabhupada also said once that amongst animals, the most beautiful animal is the horse. But anyway, the auspicious animals like cows are coming up to Yudhishthira, and what are they doing? Savyam, they're passing him on the left. And inauspicious animals, Pashava apare, apare means lower, para means above or higher or superior or transcendental, and apare means lower, so lower animals. And Prabhupada gives the example of the ass, and we can think of all sorts of low animals. And the lower animals are showing proper respect. So the auspicious animals, the pious animals, are showing disrespect. And the nonsense animals are showing respect by dakshinam. Dakshin means on the right side. So if you're walking up to someone and you want to keep that person always on your right side. So if you walk up to someone, you're keeping them on the right side. But in order to maintain keeping them on the right side, you don't keep on walking straight. You actually have to walk around that person. So by walking around a person, always keeping that person on the right side, dakshina means right. So this is called pradakshina. This is how you offer respect to someone, by circumambulating them, always keeping them on the right. And to circumambulate in the other direction, keeping them on the left, is actually a show of disrespect. So the pious animals like the cows are disrespecting, and the sinful animals, the lower animals, are showing their respect by doing this pradakshina. Just like pradakshina, we have yani kani cha papani brahma hatya dikani cha tani pranashyanti pradakshina pade pade. When you circumambulate an auspicious person, always keep pradakshina, always keeping them on the right. That step by step, just like in the morning, you circumambulate Tulsi Devi. And yani kani cha papani, then by doing that, any sins that you may have committed, even brahmahatya dikani cha, even up to and including the killing of a brahmana, which in the standards of Vedic culture is about the worst sin that anyone can commit. Even that, by doing pradakshina of Tulsi Devi step by step, all of your sins up to and including the sins of brahmahatya are being eradicated. So proper pradakshina is this, but this perverted circumambulation is going on, and Yudhishthira is taking as a very ill symbol, a very inauspicious omen, that the auspicious animals are disrespecting him, and the inauspicious animals are respecting him. So being respected by an inauspicious animal is also like, what's the swavid varahostra karai samstuta purusha pashu, that in a twisted, inauspicious society, the leaders get respect from the low-class people who are no better than dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. So here, literally, Yudhishthira is being respected by the dogs, hogs, camels, and asses, which we can take as the lower animals. So this is one of the horrible omens that Yudhishthira is seeing, this twisting. We could see that this is taking the Vedic culture and twisting it and perverting it into something evil, just like the principle of pradakshina and offering respect to a person is such a wonderful part of Vedic culture and an important part of Krishna consciousness. But when that's twisted and turned around to become so inauspicious that either the low-class, inauspicious, dog-like people are offering respects to you, or if somehow or other you end up offering respects to an unqualified person, this is the twisting of the Vedic culture, which Yudhishthira is seeing, and which is disturbing him so much. And what are the animals? The Shasta, the auspicious animals, the Apare, Pashava, the inauspicious animals, and also the Vaha animals. Vaha means animals that are carriers. Prabhupada used the example, horses are the most common, but elephants are carriers also. For Kshatriyas, elephants and horses, they're crying. They're crying. They're also showing their distress. So we saw human society becoming degraded and twisted and inauspicious. And now even in animal society, the same thing is happening, becoming degraded, and the Vedic culture, the pure culture, becoming twisted and perverted. So text 14. Mrityuduta kapoto yam uluka kampayan mana pratyulukas chakuvanar vishwam vai shunyam ichata. Just see, this pigeon is like a messenger of death. The shrieks of the owls and their rival crows make my heart tremble. It appears that they want to make a void of the whole universe. So not only the previous verse I said the animal kingdom is twisted, but that's specifically the Chatupada animal kingdom, the four-legged animals, the beasts of the field. But now the birds in the air, they're also showing the same disturbance. That the pigeons, now a pigeon, if you live in any city, you see hundreds, thousands of pigeons all the time. There's nothing particularly frightening about a pigeon or terrifying about a pigeon. But here, these pigeons, which are such, innocuous, nothing little birds, but now they're appearing and they're cawing and they're crying and shrieking like Mrityu Duta, just like they were messengers of death. The pigeons are like messengers of death, and the ulukas and the pratyulukas are shrieking at each other. The ulukas are the owls. Long ago in Gitanagari, when Gitanagari used to have a Gurukul, one time they found the Gurukul, the little boys, they found an owl that had fallen out of its nest. And so they actually took it in the ashram and they took care of it and fed it, gave it some milk or curd or whatever. And they gave it a name and they called it Uli the owl, because in Sanskrit, Uluka is owl. So the Uluka and the Pratyuluka. Prati means opposite. So the Pratyuluka means the enemies of the owl. So just there are birds that attack birds, like a hawk or a bigger bird. A carnivorous bird will attack another bird. So the owls also have their enemies, and both of them are shrieking in terror in such a way that it's shattering Yudhishthir's heart. Yes, Anukul and Pratikul. Yet as the Ulukas and the Pratyukulas, Prati means the opposite or the enemy of. Just like we have our principles of Anukul and Pratikul. Anukul means doing that which is favorable, and Pratikul means the opposite, just like taking today's word Prati meaning enemy. So that means doing that thing which is the enemy of doing the auspicious thing. Anukulasya sankalpa, Pratikulasya varjanam. That in devotional service, two of the principles, I think these are principles of Sharanagati, that Anukulasya sankalpa, you accept what is favorable, and Pratikulasya varjanam, you kick out everything that's the enemy of that, the opposite of that, unfavorable. But here, both the owl and the enemy of the owl are both shrieking in terror. They're enemies, but they're united in announcing this ill omen. And this ill omen is so intense that Prabhupada said, what did he say? He said, Yudhishthira is saying, makes my heart tremble. The actual Sanskrit, let's see. Kampayan mana, trembling mind. This is, Yudhishthira is a big, brave Kshatriya. He was fearlessly fighting in the battle of Kurukshetra without his heart trembling in fear. But hearing these owls and pigeons shrieking and cawing, just like they were the messengers of death, that shattered his heart. This Kampayan mana is almost literally, just like we have the expression to mind-boggling, or to boggle your mind. Boggle comes from an old English word describing like when a horse is startled and jumps. That's boggle. So mind-boggling means you're your mind is just shocked and broken and shattered. So by the calling of these birds, Yudhishthira, who is such a fearless warrior, but his heart is being shattered, his mind is being shattered or disturbed by this, by the calling of the Ulukas and the Pratyulukas. And that screaming is so fierce and so hellish sounding that it seems Vishwam Vasunyam Ichata, as if they were calling out and crying out and desiring to make the entire universe void by their cawing. So I can't personally imagine what that cawing sounded like, but we can consider how hellish it's sounding, that a big, powerful Kshatriya is terrified and feeling like it's the end of the universe. Just like Bhagavad Gita, Sagosho Dhartarashtranam Hridayani Vidarayat. That when Krishna and Arjuna and all the Pandavas blew their conch shells, it shattered the hearts of all of the Dhritarashtra and all of his side. Their hearts were shattered. Hridayani Vidarayat. And Prabhupada comments that there was no such, when the opposite side blew their conch shells, there was no shattering of the hearts for the Pandavas. But in this case, Yudhishthira's heart is being shattered. So we can imagine, if we didn't, of course, we already know what this is all about, but if we didn't know that it's pertaining to Krishna's disappearance, we could imagine what kind of inauspicious thing could it be that Yudhishthira, whose heart was not shaken in the least by crores and crores of warriors coming to kill him, but now by these ill omens, his heart is being shaken. So if we didn't know, we could imagine what sort of inauspicious thing is happening. Next text, 15. Dumradisha paridaya kampate busahadribi nirgatascha mahamstata sakam cha stanayit nubi. Just see how the smoke encircles the sky. It appears that the earth and mountains are throbbing. Just hear the cloudless thunder and see the bolts from the blue. So we heard about humans, and human society is disturbed. Four-legged animal society is disturbed. The bird kingdom is disturbed. Now we're seeing that the very earth itself and the very atmosphere of the earth itself is being disturbed. So we're getting deeper and deeper, seeing the extent of the disaster that is being predicted here. That humans, animals, birds, and the very earth itself, the very globe of the earth and the atmosphere and the air all around it, all of them disturbed. The skies are filled with smoke, so that you can't see anything. Your vision is obstructed. The air is contaminated with the smoke, so the air is contaminated. The very earth and the mountains themselves are throbbing. The earth is the example of the immovable thing. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, of immovable things. Does he say the Himalaya mountains of immovable things? He's the Himalayas. So this is the immovable thing, but even the immovable earth is shaking and throbbing. So whether we could take that there were perhaps it was manifested as earthquakes, or I don't know exactly how it was manifested, but this throbbing is going on. Throbbing could mean like if you've ever had like a big wound or a broken bone or some severe pain in your body, you could feel it throbbing, almost like the pain is like pumping, boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. You could feel it throbbing. Or throbbing could also mean more like shaking in fear. Like we heard about Yudhishthira Maharaj in the previous verse, how his heart is shaking. So now the whole earth is shaking like that, shaking with pain, the pain of the impending disaster and the fear of the impending disaster, that the very earth and the sky itself are shaking and shivering in terror. And the other thing is that the thunder and lightning is coming, but no clouds. Generally, clouds coming are an auspicious thing. Prabhupada talks about this. Let's see. Oh yes, in light of the Bhagavad, he talks about how when the clouds come, it's auspicious and it rains down mercy and it gives life. But now the inauspicious side, or the useless side, the thunder and the lightning is coming, but no clouds, with no clouds in the sky. So this is a inauspicious omen. And also for understanding these different omens, like I said, we don't generally see omens like this in our day-to-day life, as inauspicious as things are, but we can understand them by personalizing them or analogizing them to our own personal experience. That if we've been in a situation where we're shaking with fear, or if we hurt ourselves and our body is throbbing with pain, then we could understand, at least a little bit, we can understand that the entire Earth planet going through this kind of pain, this kind of shaking. What's the, just one second here. I can't find the right word. Yeah, kampate in today's verse. Dumradisha paridaya kampate. Kampate means shaking, shivering in fear or shaking in fear. Just like just a few weeks ago, muhu shwasa kampa trire kanka kanta stita graivam damodaram bhakti banam. This is a different kind of shaking, but kampa, the same word is there, shaking. That little baby Krishna, he was shaking in fear of Mother Yashoda. And as he was shaking in fear, Trireka Kanka Kanta, that the pearls around his beautiful neck, which has 3 lines on it like a conch shell, were shaking and shivering because he was shivering in fear. So this is Kampa. Now the entire Earth planet is shivering in fear of what is about to happen, of what is about to manifest in the world. So human society, animal, birds, and now the very earth and the very sky itself are experiencing this turmoil. Text 16. Vayor itikara sparsha rajasa visrajamstama asrig varshanti jalada bibatsam eva sarvata. So in the previous verse, first Yudhishthira was seeing no clouds in the sky, just thunder and lightning. But oh, now clouds are coming. You may think, oh, clouds are coming. This is good. This is relief. But he says, no, the clouds are coming, and are they raining down life-giving water and nourishing the earth and nourishing the people and the animals with the life-giving rainwater? No, raining down bloody disasters. I'm not exactly sure what this means. Was blood literally raining from the sky? Or was it raining in such a way, like a terrible storm or a hurricane or a tornado that was destroying everything? I'm not sure how much to take it literally or figuratively, but in both cases, we can understand that the very sky and the air and the clouds and the whole, what would you call, the whole meteorological system of the earth is completely twisted and perverted and turned upside down. First there's no clouds, just thunder and lightning, and then the clouds came, and instead of giving life, it gives disappointment, raining down bloody disasters. Dust is blowing everywhere, creating further darkness. Darkness, as is very often the case, darkness means literal darkness that they couldn't see. First there was smoke in the air, now the winds were coming and raising dust, so couldn't see dark because of the darkness. And darkness also means figurative darkness, that the world was enveloped in ignorance. Just as we heard about in previous verses from this chapter, how human society, everyone became covered in ignorance, uncontrolled and lying and cheating and evil. So this is ignorance. And now the darkness is literally coming by the clouds blowing this dust around like that. And again, clouds are supposed to be auspicious. There's a few nice instances this in Prabhupada's Light of the Bhagavat. He describes that the appearance of clouds and rain and thunder and lightning, he says, these are his words, signs of life-giving hope. And that clouds showering down rain is just like the Lord showering his mercy on the devotees. Just like we also sing, Samsara Davana Lalita Loka Tranaya Karana Gana Ganatam. That the mercy of Krishna is just like the rain carried by just like the rain is water lifted from the ocean, carried by the clouds, and then rained down for the benefit of society. Similarly, Krishna's mercy is transmitted by the spiritual master and rained down to shower mercy on the disciples and on the people in general. Just like Prabhupada, he's given this example many times. He said, just like if there's some big forest fire, that all you could bring some hose, but to stop a huge forest fire is practically impossible. But only when the mercy, the cloud comes and the rain pours down, then that can actually put out the forest fire. But now that life-giving, what did he say? The sign of life-giving hope has now become a sign of death and disaster. Again, everything being taken and twisted out of its normal frame of reference and turned into the opposite, into destruction. Or just like Shakespeare himself says, that the quality of mercy is not strained, it falleth like the gentle rain from heaven. So now instead of the gentle rain from heaven, we have raining bloody disasters. So again, the continuation of this disastrous series of omens is going on through all facets of society, living entities, and even so-called inanimate, like the earth planet and the wind and the atmosphere, are just as disturbed as people and animals are. Next text is Suryam Hatta Prabham Pashya Graha Mardam Mito Divi Shashankular Bhuta Ganar Jwalite Eva Rodasi. The rays of the sun are declining, and the stars appear to be fighting amongst themselves. Confused living entities appear to be ablaze and weeping. So just imagine the extent of this destruction, or the extent of these omens, that not only people, not only animals and birds, and not even only the earth and its atmosphere itself, but even beyond that, into outer space, the disturbance is reaching such a pitch that it extends beyond the earth, water, and air, all the way up to the Akash, into outer space. It's being disturbed. That the sun's rays are being blocked and destroyed, declining, and the stars in the sky appear to be fighting amongst themselves. And all living entities in general seem to be ablaze and weeping. So the extent of this destruction and the extent of these omens, we can understand. This is why Yudhishthira very intelligently at the end, he was able to actually conclude what the meaning of these omens were, that these are not ordinary omens, that they extend from people and animals in the earth and even into space itself. That means it's a destruction. It's an inauspiciousness so all-encompassing that it doesn't just cover one house or one family or one nation or even one planet, but extends to the entire Brahmanda. The entire universe is encompassed in this inauspiciousness. So this is why Yudhishthira was able to surmise what the actual cause of it was, that it was the disappearance of Lord Krishna. Just like if some unimportant person dies, like if I were to die, my wife and children would lament, But in the bigger society, it wouldn't really make that much difference. And in a larger, if a bigger person, a more important person, a more beloved person died, then you might have a village or a community lamenting, or even a person can be so amazing that a country or even the planet is lamenting. But imagine a person who's leaving that is causing the entire universe, the whole Brahmanda is experiencing this lamentation. That's only Krishna. So therefore, we're able to surmise, Yudhishthira is able to surmise what's going on. The rays of the sun are declining. This is also very interesting. The rays of the sun are the emblem, in so many cases, the emblem of what is powerful, what is unbeatable, what is what's the word I'm looking for? Just so powerful and so purifying that it's the exemplar of something powerful that can't be restricted and can't be diminished. These are the rays of the sun. Just like when the Bhagavatam is talking about devotional service, it explains akama sarva kamova moksha kama udaridi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Said, whoever you are, full of desires, desireless, desiring liberation, the process of devotional service is so powerful, tivrena. And Prabhupada explains, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that tivrena means powerful like the rays of the sun. So powerful that all of those persons must take to devotional service and they'll all be benefited. And all of their desires will be fulfilled by this process of devotional service. Because it's tivrena, it's powerful like the rays of the sun that can't be denied. Unlike yoga process, meditation process, karma process, ritual process, these are not powerful like the rays of the sun. They're very easily diminished and overshadowed. But devotional service is bright like the sun. It can't be stopped. It can't be held back. Prabhupada also many times explained, he said, just like the sun is so powerful and so purifying that the sun shines down on puddles of urine and stool, and it evaporates the urine away and leaves that place purified. And the sun itself is never contaminated by that contact with urine, because its rays are so powerful, so purifying, that it even evaporates the water, the urine from a filthy place. And the sun is not contaminated, and it leaves that place no more contaminated, rather it's purified. There's a verse from the Haryashtakam Prabhupada quoted, one time he quoted, Hari harati papani dushta chittar api smritaha anityayapi samsprishto dahatyeva hi pavaka. That Hari harati papani, that Lord Hari takes away all of your sins, just like we heard how circumambulating Tulsi Devi takes away all of your sins. But ultimately it's Krishna. He's called Hari. So Hari Harati, Lord Hari takes away all of your sins, all of your dushta chittar, all of your conditioned and materialistic mentality. He takes that all away because samsprishto dahatyevahi pavaka, because he's as powerful as the blazing fire or the bright sun. He's so powerful like that. So the sun is the topmost purifying and topmost powerful manifestation. The entire solar system is being maintained and fed and held together by the rays of the sun. But so what could diminish that? It can't possibly be diminished, but now by this inauspicious omen, the rays of the sun are declining. Suryam hata prabham pashya. Hata prabham, hata literally means kill. So the rays of the sun, the effulgence of the sun is being killed by these inauspicious occurrences. Next text 18. Nadyunadas chakshubita saramsi cha manamsi cha najwalatyagnilarjena kaloyam kim vedasyati. Rivers, tributaries, ponds, reservoirs, and the mind are all perturbed. Butter no longer ignites fire. What is this extraordinary time? What is going to happen? So more amazing omens. We heard about disturbances of the earth, disturbances of the air, disturbances of the ether, and now we're hearing about disturbances in the water and in the fire. So rivers, tributaries, ponds, reservoirs are all disturbed. Prabhupada translates Nadyo Nadash as rivers and tributaries. Just as a side note, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also explains that Nadya and Nada are the same word. They both mean rivers, but one is in masculine form and one is in feminine form. And so what that means is that the holy rivers are generally goddesses. They're generally female. What's the that puja mantra? Gange cha Yamuna chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalismin Sanidim Kuru. That all of these sacred rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, Saraswati, all of these rivers are goddesses. They're feminine form. But the male river is the Brahmaputra River. That's also an important river for, also important in terms of commerce and agriculture, but also spiritually important is the Brahmaputra River. That's the one river that is referred to or identified with a male deity. So in any case, that means all of the rivers, male and female, or as Prabhupada explains, the rivers and the sub-rivers or tributaries, all of them are disturbed, and all the lakes and all the ponds and all the reservoirs completely disturbed, and the mind of everyone is also disturbed. So as the waters are disturbed, everyone's mind is also disturbed. Because very often, in many cases, the mind is compared with or analogized to a body of water, that the mind is like a body of water, and that body of water can be disturbed and filthy and polluted and full of waves and disturbance, or it could be even keeled and smooth and peaceful. Nice verse from the second canto is Pravishta Karnarandrena Swanam Bhava Saroruham Dunoti Shamalam Krishna Shali Lasya Yata Sharat. That when the devotee hears the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, Pravishta Karnarandrena, that Krishna Kata enters into the holes of his ears, Karnarandrena, Swanam Bhava Saroruham, and it enters his ears, and from there, the Bhagavatam, the Krishna Kata, enters into the devotee's heart, and it sits on the lotus of his loving relationship with Krishna, on the lotus of his heart. And Dunoti Shamalam Krishna, then the devotee's heart is completely purified, devoid of all disturbances, Shali Lasya Yata Sharat, just like a smooth body of water in the Sharat season, in the autumn season. So this is a typical example that during the rainy season, all the rivers and lakes, because of the excessive rain, become very disturbed and polluted and muddy and full of mud, and everything's washing down the rivers. But then in the autumn season, when that comes, all the waters become clear and purified and smooth. So this is the identification between the bodies of water and the mind of the living entity, especially the mind of the devotee. Another thing is, going back again to Light of the Bhagavat, Prabhupada explains that when the rainy season comes, that even then the disturbed waters, the rivers overflow and the reservoirs overflow, And Prabhupada says this is actually auspicious because the water is needed. The overflowing rivers means the agricultural fields are all irrigated. Everyone has enough water. So this is auspicious thing. And then even more beautiful is when autumn comes. And then those waters, the water is still present, but it all becomes clear and it all becomes just mellow and smooth and undisturbed, just like the mind of the devotee who engages in devotional service. His mind becomes Dunoti Shamalam Krishna, by thinking of Krishna, by hearing and chanting about Krishna. The mind becomes all the filth, all this, just like in water, all the sediment is removed. And the disturbed waves and floods and whatever may be happening, all of that is reduced and the water becomes just peaceful. And the other thing is the ghee no longer makes the fire burn. So even the, physics, the physics of the world has changed, that ghee won't make a fire burn. So what does this mean, that ghee won't make a fire burn? Ghee in a fire specifically is a reference to the performance of yagya. Yagyartat karmano nyatra loko yam karma bandhana. Human society must perform yagya. But now it's so inauspicious that yagya has become impossible because the ghee won't burn in the fire. Just like when the mind becomes disturbed, then no one can think clearly, no one can meditate, no one can fix their mind. And when the ghee won't ignite the fire, then yagya becomes impossible. So that process also becomes impossible. And for a person in Vedic culture, for a great king like Yudhishthir, who performed so much sacrifice, we heard about him performing many Ashwamedha yagyas and Rajasuya for the purification of the kingdom and for the purification of his own perceived sin in the battle of Kurukshetra. But now ghee won't light the fire. Yagya is finished. No more yagya possible. So, and he's so disturbed. Kalo yam kim vidasyati. What is this time? What is going on? What is happening to society? Text 19. The calves do not suck the teats of the, Na pibanti stanam vatsa, na duyanti chamatara, rudantyashru mukha gavo, na rishyan drishabhavraje. The calves do not suck the teats of the cow, nor do the cows give milk. They are standing, crying, tears in their eyes, and the bulls take no pleasure in the pasturing ground. So if the cows don't give milk and the bulls don't work in Vedic culture, this is the foundation of a society's economy. So this is indicating, first of all, it's indicating an economic collapse. If the cows don't give milk and the bulls don't work, then the Vedic economic system collapses into nothing. And the other important point about this is that cows and bulls are at the very heart of Brahminical culture. Prabhupada, and commenting on prayers of Queen Kunti, Prabhupada writes that Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmanas and the cows, indicating thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahminical culture and cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these are lacking. So now these are lacking. The cows are not giving milk. The calves are not drinking. The bulls are not working. This means not just the economic basis of society, but the moral and spiritual basis of society is destroyed because Brahminical culture depends on cow protection. When Indra wanted to destroy the Brijavasis out of his anger during the Govardhan Leela, what was his specific plan to do that? To destroy the cows. He specifically said to the clouds, go and destroy the cows of Vrindavan, because he knows that if you destroy the cows, then in a proper Vedic culture cannot survive without that. So this is what's happening here. the cows are being destroyed, means Vedic culture is being destroyed. We're nearing the end here. Text 20. Daivatani rudanti va swidyanti uchalanti cha ime jana padagrama purodhyanakarashrama brashtashriyo nirananda kim agam darshayantina. This particular verse, I actually always found particularly horrifying. Translation: the deities seem to be crying in the temple, lamenting and perspiring. They seem about to leave. All the cities, villages, towns, gardens, mines, and hermitages are now devoid of beauty and bereft of all happiness. I do not know what sort of calamities are now awaiting us. So even the deities in the temple, whether you're speaking of demigod deities, which are not deities, demigod images in the temple, as was sometimes done in Vedic culture, or deity of Krishna himself in the temple, they're disturbed and appear about to leave because, of course, Krishna himself is leaving and the deity is Krishna himself. Lord Chaitanya said when he prayed, when hearing the pastime of Sakshi Gopal, Lord Chaitanya said, "My Lord, you are not a statue. You are not an image. You are directly Krishna Nandakishore himself." So if Krishna is leaving, then the deities also appear to be leaving. So disturbed. So the mind is disturbed, so meditation can't go on. Yajna is finished. Now even deity worship is being disturbed, is being twisted and ended by the leaving of the deities. And beyond the temple, even in the surrounding society, everything is being deprived of its normal, natural beauty and normal, natural happiness. All of that is gone because in any community, if the deity is not being cared for properly, if the deity is not happy, then the surrounding society cannot possibly be happy or beautiful. That's all depending on the beauty and the care and the happiness of the deity. Prabhupada explained that there was he received one deity of Krishna standing with his hand on his hip in threefold bending form, and he called that deity Kartamashai. And he explained Kartamashai means the head, the village head, the chief of the village. And when the chief of the village is happy and served, then the whole village will be happy. And if the village chief is not served, then no one else can be happy. So here the deity worship is becoming disturbed. So naturally, as a result of that, the whole society is being disturbed and losing its beauty and losing its happiness and losing all of its auspicious qualities being lost. And finally, last verse today, text 21. Manya etar mahotpatar nunam bhagavata padai ananya purusha shribhir kinabor hattaso bhaga. I think that all these earthly disturbances indicate some greater loss to the good fortune of the world. The world was fortunate to have been marked with the footprints of the lotus feet of the Lord. These signs indicate that this will no longer be. So now Yudhishthira is finally saying, even in a slightly indirect way, but finally saying what he thinks is the actual conclusion here. The disturbances and the omens are so evil and so extensive and so all-encompassing that no mundane problem, no mundane ordinary disturbance could possibly explain the extent of such inauspicious omens. The only horrible but inescapable conclusion is that Krishna is leaving. Krishna, whose lotus feet would decorate the earth for so long is now leaving, and the earth will no longer be decorated by those lotus feet, and the result is calamity. In this connection, this is a couple of shlokas from Queen Kunti's prayers, where she echoes this sentiment. Here she's echoing the sentiment on a more local level, not the whole earth losing Krishna's lotus feet, but Hastinapur. This is from first canto, chapter 8, Kunti Stotra, text 39. O Gadadhar, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so. Prabhupada says in the purport, there are certain particular marks on the feet of the Lord which distinguish the Lord from others. The marks of a flag, thunderbolt, an instrument to drive an elephant, umbrella, lotus disc, etc., are on the bottoms of the Lord's feet. These marks are impressed upon the soft dust of the land where the Lord traverses. The land of Hastinapur was thus marked, while Lord Sri Krishna was there with the Pandavas, and the kingdom of the Pandavas thus flourished by such auspicious signs. Kunti Devi pointed out these distinguished features and was afraid of ill luck in the absence of the Lord. So here Kunti is saying practically exactly the same thing as what Yudhishthira is saying in text 40. All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and the oceans full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them. So the earth, not just Hastinapur, but now the entire earth, and not just the earth, this particular Brahmanda is now devoid of Krishna's presence. So this is the disaster that is being foretold in so many ways and in every aspect of society. So I have two sort of little summary points to quickly make from that. One is that what's being disturbed? Humans, animals, birds, so all living beings are disturbed. What else is being disturbed? Bhumir ap analo vayu, calm. That earth, water, fire, air, ether, every phase of these are being disturbed and twisted and perverted as described in each of these different omens. And the mind and the intelligence of people are also being disturbed. So it's not just a circumstantial disturbance or circumstantial ill omen, but it's right down to the very fabric of creation. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the basic elements from which everything is created, and the disturbance and the corruption reaches down to that very most basic level. Just like in take a medical condition, like if you get punched or hit by something and you hurt yourself and you get some bruise, that's one level of disease. But then imagine a disease that is not external, but affects a particular bodily system, or affects a particular bodily tissue, or a particular bodily cell, or even on a finer level, a disease that affects a particular biochemical process. This is a deep-seated disease, not a superficial wound or a superficial bruise, but something deep-seated in the very fabric of the structure of the body. This is a serious illness, more than just an external bruise. And it's a difficult illness to diagnose. It means it's a more difficult illness to diagnose and a difficult illness to treat. So this is the situation when Krishna leaves, that not just what we look around us, but the very fabric of reality becomes twisted and perverted due to Krishna's leaving. One other point that I saw in this, like I said a couple of times, that everyone's mind is disturbed. That means the potential for meditation is finished. You want to meditate, you want to pursue spiritual life by meditation, forget about it. So meditation. Yagya, the ghee no longer ignites the fire. That means literally the ghee won't ignite the fire, and figuratively it means that yagya, the process of yagya, is finished. And what else? The deity worship, another process. The deities are perspiring. They're sad, they're upset, they look like they're about to leave. So the process of deity worship is finished. So what does that mean? Anyone can see where I'm going with this, right? Krite yad jayato vishnum tretayam yajato makai dwapare paricharyayam kalo tadhari kirtana. That in Satya Yuga, the spiritual process of that age depended on a mind that was powerful and pure and controlled and undisturbed, like the undisturbed lake. But when Krishna leaves, when Kali Yuga comes, no, that's no longer the case. You can't meditate like that. Tretayam yajato makai. In Treta Yuga, the process was offering yagya, offering sacrifice. And the sacrifices had tons of ghee and tons of gold and wealth. And even the demigods themselves would come down from the heavenly planets to take part in those sacrifices. But now Krishna leaves, the fire doesn't burn, the ghee doesn't work, the cows are not giving milk, the cows are not drinking, sacrifice finished. And Dwapare Paricharyayam, the worship of Krishna in the temple, is the process in Dwapara Yuga. But the deities are disturbed, they're upset, they're crying, they're perspiring as if they're about to leave. So that means deity worship also finished. So what's left? That means when Krishna leaves, when Kali Yuga comes, there's only one chance, there's only one opportunity. And the previous Bhagavatam verse to that Kritya Dhyayato Vishnum is Kalir Dosha Nide Rajan Asti Yeka Mahadguna Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya Mukta Sangam Param Vrajet. That when Krishna leaves, we are forced, because it's our only chance, our only opportunity, is embracing Bhagavat Vidhi, hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, reading Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavatam, chanting the holy name. This is the only thing, this is one lesson we could draw from these omens, that all of the other previous things are denied. Meditation, sacrifice, and deity worship. We meditate. When we're chanting, we should be meditating to some degree, but it's not meditation per se. We do sacrifice. We may have some, little fire sacrifice for a wedding or for this or that, but it's not our main process, and it's not very glorious compared to the actual standard of yagya. It's like very early in ISKCON. It's a little late, but this is a fun story. It was the wedding of maybe Janaki. I actually can't remember. But the devotees and Prabhupada told them what to get for the sacrifice. So get some wood, get some ghee. So for wood, they found like a old, you see like now they're all cardboard, but they used to have the wooden vegetable crates when you would buy bulk vegetables, and they would come in these wooden boxes. So they snapped up some of those pieces of wood from that. And ghee, if they even knew what ghee was, they said, oh, butter's so expensive. So they got some margarine instead. And they melted some margarine and gave it to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada took a little stick of wood, dipped it in the margarine, held it up to the candle, and it sizzled and went out. He tried again, dipped the wood in the margarine, held it up to the candle, it sputtered a little and went out. And Prabhupada said, this wedding is not getting off to an auspicious start. And Janaki, if it was Mother Janaki, I can't remember, started crying at that. But this is the nature of all. Even now we have, persons who are much more competent and expert in doing sacrifice, but it's really the same thing compared to the standard of sacrifice. So all of these things are denied. And so this is the Kalir Dosha Nidhi Rajan. Kali Yoga is so bad. You can't do any of these things, and the minds are disturbed, and the earth and the very elements of creation are disturbed. But the only chance left to us, we should understand, is taking shelter of hearing and chanting about Krishna's Nama Rupa Guna Lila. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your kind patience. I'm sorry I went a little late, but it was a lot of verses, so I beg your forgiveness. Hare Krishna. If there's any questions or discussion, we can briefly do that now. Yes, please, Kalpesh.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for a wonderful class. So much, connected. And please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. So, today's was it's something I learned more to, like, I was not thinking in deep sense, but now I see how the gross elements and subtle elements and material nature are deeply connected with any kind of disturbance. That was your summation to whole things, like how the gross elements and subtle elements are disturbed and the material nature is disturbed. So Hare Nam Eva Kevalam Nashte. So that is the Harinam is the only alternative we have in this age. And looking the Kali age as a mismanagement, and the quarrel, root cause of mismanagement and quarrel is modes of lower class of man and not having higher ambition in life, which makes me think about the upcoming event on for the Thanksgiving. And the Thanksgiving which is coming this week. And I'm failing to understand, in the society level, this is going on, the mass killing of animals. Particularly that day will be a celebration for killing the turkey, and that will be becoming food for many of them, millions throughout the worldwide. So which means that because somebody is doing that disturbance in the society level, and we kind of understand this philosophy, how everything is connected to this. What are our choices left here? We can do for our self-purification, but we are influenced in the illusionary energies when we are not always in that mode, and we are under the low modes. So how can we? What is your opinion and view? How can it reach? At least this message is reached to every single person. How can we do that?
Yeah. That's a big question, but I'll give a small answer. That in general, all we can do is really cling to the program that Prabhupada gave us. That he gave us a twofold program in one sense. One, that we make ourselves strong by sadhana, by associating with devotees, by serving. We become strong enough that we don't get influenced by the modes and the corrupted society. And the other half is that when we're a little strong, when we have a little strength, we go out and we preach and we try to give this to others. And balancing those two together, that's the twofold thing. We become strong ourselves, so we don't become influenced, so we don't become typical Kali Yuga persons. And when we have a little energy and a little strength, and we also share it with others as much as possible. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Jona
Thank you.
Prabhu. Acharya.
Sorry, Prabhu, I was on mute.
That's okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a wonderful class, and I love how you tied it in at the end to the Sankirtan movement. That was very brilliant how it all came together so nicely. I was thinking a couple of chapters ago when we were reading about the coronation of Maharaj Yudhisthira, how it was like almost like the reversal, like everything was full of abundance, and the minerals were coming out of the sea, and just so many auspicious signs that were there. And then how quickly, or seemingly quickly, kind of like the turn of events have happened. And Maharaj Yudhisthira's perspective on the whole thing. Like I'm sure people, approached him, and I'm sure he received a lot of glorification, and people saying, "Oh, since you've been king, everything is so much better," trying to give him credit for everything. And how, Yudhisthira Maharaj, even now as things are going away, he's realizing anything good is coming from Krishna, and anything bad is due to the absence of Krishna. It really has nothing to do with me. But just, he's seen the whole gamut come. It's like he's lived through hell, and then he got coronated, and now he's got he's ruling the world, or ruling the earth, and everything seems to be in prosperity, and then all of a sudden it kind of changes over again. It's kind of fascinating how, for us it's a short time because we're reading it through the Srimad Bhagavatam, but I don't know how much time do you think elapsed from there?
I haven't got a clue. It's like all of a sudden they woke up one day and the clouds are raining blood. I don't know how. I don't know how it manifests. It's described as happening all at once, but what the actual timeline is, I couldn't say. But I really like what you're saying about Yudhisthira, and Yudhisthira is like the perfect person to teach this and to demonstrate this, because he, now he's looking at these ill omens and saying something's bad happening. But when he was king, he was so expert at this. But at the same time, while he was king, he was quite ready to accept blame on himself, just like his guilt about the whole Kurukshetra war. It's not that he's looking for external blame. He's quite ready to take responsibility for his own sins, which makes it even more, poignant and a teachable moment when he sees these external symptoms coming. So yeah, Yudhisthira is really the perfect person to be describing this. Hare Krishna. Anything
Hare
else?
Krishna.
Question?
Thank you.
Anything else? Question or comment? Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everybody, for your kind attention. Any normal announcement for tonight?
Yes, we have a guest speaker, His Grace Kalakanta Prabhu. He'll be speaking to us tonight at the Sunday Feast lecture.
Oh, he's here live. Awesome.
Yes. Yeah, he'll be here live.
I heard him on morning class. I thought he was far away.
Yeah. No, he's actually he's in the temple.
Awesome. I missed him.
Yeah. And he'll be here till tomorrow morning. He'll be giving the Bhagavatam class tomorrow morning as well. So Sunday Feast class tonight, Bhagavatam class tomorrow morning. So please tune in. We start at 4:30. Hope to see you all tonight.
Jai. Thank you very much once again for your kind attendance. Everyone have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.